Welcome to Comics Bazaar, the channel of comics commentary and arcana. This video features Daredevil number 181, cover dated April 1982. And this probably is the high point, the creative high point of Frank Miller's original run on Daredevil. And this is a special double-sized issue. All of Miller's plot lines since he came on board as writer-artist have been building up to this. And the cover caption proclaims Bullseye versus Elektra. One wins, one dies. And that's not a joke. One of them does indeed die. And an interesting choice here for the design of the cover, where we've got a giant figure of Daredevil and in the foreground Bullseye versus Elektra. So not at all realistic, more symbolic. And interesting technique used by Klaus Janson in the inks here. This screen tone, but the way he's cut through it as well. We've got darker and lighter aspects of the screen tone. Very interesting technique that he's used on the cover here over Frank Miller's pencils. This is an iconic cover. This is an iconic issue of Daredevil. Let's open it up and get into the double-sized story. So it opens with a very dramatic splash page here. And the story title, Last Hand. Creative team Frank Miller, story and art, Klaus Janson, finished art and colours, Joe Rosen letters, Denny O'Neil is the editor. So, looks like Daredevil's been shot in the head, but of course he hasn't. But interesting here from Klaus Janson, the colour he's used for the implication of blood spatter, and it's magenta. So it's very effective and impactful, I feel. So we turn the page and we see, can this possibly be true? No, it's a fantasy. And it's a fantasy of Bullseye's. He's in prison since the last time that Daredevil and he fought and Daredevil saved his life. And Bullseye is obsessing over, completely obsessed with Daredevil. You've got to suffer first. Oh yeah, I'll break every bone in your body, grind your spine into powder, make every nerve you've got scream in agony, make you pay. So Bullseye is fantasizing about how he's going to get even with Daredevil, and it's payback for saving his life. You saved my life, he says as he sits alone in the isolation cell here. It wasn't enough to beat me and let me die down there in the subway. You had to pull me off the tracks so I could hear every snicker, every jibe. They think I'm a has-been. They're wrong. Soon I'm going to pay you back and be on top again. The world's deadliest assassin, Bullseye, the man who killed Daredevil. Just wait. And great techniques here as well. We've got a combination of screen tones, but also some duo shade as well on the shaded side of Bullseye's face there. And you can really see captured in Miller and Janson's art that look of madness on Bullseye's face as well. Paranoid madness. It's a really great sequence. Also this image, this close-up on the eyes, on his eyes, in the horizontal panel. We're going to see that again at the end of the issue. So in a certain sense, the issue is bookended with Bullseye, with that close-up on Bullseye's eyes. In addition to that, I want to say that really this is a 3-act story. The first act concerns Bullseye in prison. The second act, Bullseye versus Elektra. And the third act, Daredevil versus Bullseye. So there he is exercising in the gym. But he is attacked by a really painful migraine, and this is on account of that tumor that he had that was removed surgically. But he has these lingering migraines, and he needs medication, pills, pain pills, in order to deal with the migraine. But his jailer here makes a big show of delaying. By saying to him, maybe they fixed that brain tumor of yours, but you still get headaches, which means you need these pills. And old Harry's the guy. What's got him? Let's see. Push the cap down, turn counterclockwise. No, clockwise. The pill, give me the pill. He's in immense pain there. And I like the way that has been implied in the art. This halo of jagged lines centered on Bullseye's head, indicating that migraine. Yeah, it's a very interesting visual device that Miller and Janson use. So Bullseye pops the pill. Feel all better now, Peachy, he says. And then in the next panel, and this is great, you're a dead man, Harry. Harry doesn't believe it. He thinks Bullseye's in prison for life. But Bullseye returns to his first-person narration, his obsession with Daredevil. And I like the transition here between that close-up on his eyes. We get even closer. And as he's thinking about Daredevil and what Daredevil may be doing, we see Daredevil swinging across his eye in a certain sense. "You did this to me, Daredevil," says Bullseye to himself. "You should have let me die. I can't even have a workout now without these headaches. But you can. You're probably working out right now in some private gym, somewhere where you don't have headaches and you don't have to listen to snotty guards or bleeding heart parole officers, probably practicing that crazy eclectic fighting style of yours, polishing up every karate blow you've used on me. You just keep on practicing, Daredevil. You practice long and hard, and maybe you'll last an extra 10 minutes when I catch up with you. But you'll die just the same. Just wait." And just look at the DeLuca effect on these 4 panels on this page. They are so well done. I mean, Miller was doing that from the very beginning of his penciling work on the title, but he has gotten so good at it. Like, you have a sense of the speed that Daredevil is bouncing around. He's really perfected his use of the DeLuca effect. It looks so much better than in his first treatments of it in his first issues artistically on the title. And this in particular is really impressive. You really get a sense of Matt using those karate chops and moves on the target boards there as well. Really, really great stuff on this particular page. So as I said, we continue in the first act with Bullseye. Our focus is on him. And here he is in the prison yard. He gets one afternoon a week for sunshine and fresh air. And who's this figure walking up to him? Well, we've got Turk and Grotto there also incarcerated as well. And Turk there goes up to this mysterious figure and he says, "Whoa, crazy. You crazy man. That's Bullseye. He'll kill you as soon as look at you," he whispers to him. And then I love this panel here where Turk realizes, "Hey, are you? You are. I'm gone. Grotto too." And still in silhouette, Bullseye says to the guy, "I recognize you. You're the Punisher. You're in the joint for killing guys like me. This your first day?" And Punisher says, "My third." Now at this point in Marvel, in the history of Marvel Comics, the Punisher is an anti-hero who first showed up in Amazing Spider-Man. If I'm not wrong, it's Amazing Spider-Man 129 or thereabouts. And he wasn't really a terribly popular character, let's say, but this really is the beginnings of his popularity in the 80s and 90s. It starts with Frank Miller's treatment of him, and this is a little hint of what Miller's going to do in a couple of issues' time with Punisher and turn him into a really serious guy to deal with. So Punisher, as I said, Bullseye asks him, "This your first day?" And the Punisher says, "My third." "You've got lots of enemies here, Punisher," says Bullseye. "1 week tops, and you'll be leaving in a bag." "Could be," says the Punisher, "but you're staying." This is really interesting. We zoom in on his eyes and he says, "You've been on good behavior, waiting for your old boss, the Kingpin, to break you out. He's not going to. Word on the yard is that he's found a new assassin, doesn't need you anymore." So that kind of breaks Bullseye. He thinks, "That rotten, why are you telling me this?" And the Punisher says here, "Chances are you'll do something dumb, get yourself killed." I'd like that. That's great characterization from Miller. And he continues that version of the Punisher when he does a story with him in a couple of issues' time. This is a nice, again, look at the kind of the layouts here. There's a lot of thought being given to layouts. We have Bullseye standing alone in the prison yard. Now he is standing alone here and in manacles and chains, but for the TV cameras. So he's going to do a piece with Tom Snide, and this was on the suggestion of his parole officer. So he's going ahead with it. But does he have a covert plan? So the broadcast is live from Rikers Island. The show is Good Evening New York. And Snide sits down with Bullseye and says, "I won't beat around the bush, Mr. Bullseye. You're a killer, a totally reprehensible felon whose monstrous crimes have caused untold misery. How do you feel about that?" What a question. And Bullseye responds here, I don't feel anything. at all. So he's a real psychopath. But then he has one of his migraines, and the jailer's there with the pill. He takes the pill into his lips, but look, he's holding it there. And watch this. This is great inventive storytelling from Miller, where he shoots the pill out of his lips into the jailer's eye, Harry's eye, and then he knows what's going to happen next. That's it. Shoot for the gut. I'm taking no chances, says the guard. Hit the chain. So now he's free. And the other guards react pretty quickly. They're well trained, but to me they're in slow motion. Open panel here. And Snide, he might as well be a mannequin. I use the mic, swings it around his neck, pulls him over. Drop your guns, he says to the other guards. Open the door and get inside, or Snide's a corpse. So the producer says, do as he says. You boys just stay locked in the cell, and he's about to walk away with Snide as his hostage. Gee, I almost forgot. Harry, I made you a promise, Harry, remember? And the guard begs, and he says, yeah, and he shoots him. That's really, really great scene. Tremendous prison break, great scene. The prison break isn't over yet. That was dumb, thinks Bullseye. Dumb but fun. Only 2 bullets left in the gun and no time to grab another one. I'll make it down and out to the yard. So he's down in the yard. How's he going to get out of this one? And the alarms are going. And what happens is he uses his 2 bullets to shoot out the lights, the floodlights. And now he's looking around as to what he might do next, and he's got a great opportunity with the helicopter, the chopper. So they're landing to shoot him. Look at the art as well. Look at the technique used by Janson in the inks here, where he is using white media to give a sense of the dust kicked up by the helicopter's rotary blades. And this guy in silhouette says to Bullseye with his rifle trained on him, it's all over, let go of Snide, drop the gun. And Bullseye drops Snide and cracks the guy in the head with the butt of his gun, uses the microphone that he was holding Snide with, and catches on to the, what are they called again, like the landing sleds of the helicopter. And the pilot realizes he's in big trouble. Bullseye gets on board and throws the pilot out right into the river there. That is another great sequence. Such amazing visual storytelling, and pacey too, and inventive. And you're thinking, Miller really has thought out how would Bullseye get out of Rikers? How could he do it with no weapons to start with, using the pill, using the microphone and the cable, grabbing the gun, using the 2 remaining bullets effectively to knock out the floodlights, being able to spontaneously decide to use the chopper as his way out. But what's he doing it all for? He's out for Daredevil. I'll take the copter across the river to Manhattan, then I'll be free. Free to go live his life? No, free to hunt. And what about you, Daredevil? So he's obsessed. Well, he continues thinking, I bet you're coming home from wherever it is you work in your secret identity. Bet you're tired too. You want to relax, have a beer, listen to the radio. Maybe you're hearing about my escape right now. It's a great 3/4 profile upshot on Matt. Maybe it doesn't scare you. Maybe nothing scares you. But worried. You've got to be worried. So the implication of these panels here is that Bullseye is right about what is going on with Daredevil. He doesn't know at this point that Daredevil is Matt Murdock. So what we're seeing here is actually what's happening. He's right. Matt does learn from the radio and does head out into the night as Daredevil in order to catch Bullseye. So you come looking for me, Daredevil. Check every nook and cranny and watch the shadows. Cause me, I'll be in one of them. And only you won't know it until I got you. Just wait. So the showdown is coming. This is a great establishing shot here of Bullseye listening outside this dock building. I love the rendering of the wood here of these what would you call them, pylons, sunk down into the river. It's so well done, the inking here, done by brush, by Janson. And he's cutting in some white media as well in the background there for the skyscrapers. Really, really well done. And a screen tone too. So a lot of time and care being taken with the artwork. So inside you have got one of these crime bosses from Miller's early issues, Mr. Slaughter. And really what they're talking about here is they're talking about their autonomy as a freelance assassination operation exists only so long as the Kingpin tolerates it. He's the unquestioned ruler of the underworld. He considers Bullseye to be dangerous and erratic and does not want him to disrupt the order of things. So Bullseye is out there listening to all of this. Meanwhile, this guy is smoking a cigarette and he's dropping the ash out the window, and when he goes to pull it to his face for another drag, he realizes that his smoke, it's gone. So who has the cigarette? Bullseye. Another little great sequence. So Slaughter tells him to kill Bullseye. That's not going to happen. Bullseye here successful against the goons, and he pulls the blade up to Slaughter's face, and Slaughter says, like, he doesn't miss a beat and he doesn't break a sweat. Excellent. I see you've kept in shape, he says. The one you doubtless seek is a former ninja, a woman named Elektra. So he's right on top of what's motivated Bullseye to pay a visit that night. The only lead I can give you is that she's been instructed to eliminate an attorney named Franklin Nelson. That happened at the end of the previous issue. So then he offers him a cigar. And this is a really great layout on this particular page, where we've got Bullseye in the horizontal panel in the center, but then we've got close-ups on the liquor bottle, the pills, the cigarettes, the photograph of Franklin Nelson, of Matt Murdock, of Daredevil, and Bullseye laughing uproariously to himself as he thinks, whether it's from the booze or being just tired, but I'm looking real hard at this photo of Murdock, see, and I start thinking about how much he looks like you, Daredevil, and I read about how tight you are with Murdock, and I wonder if you're both the same guy. And then I read, get this, that Matt Murdock is blind. Wouldn't that be a kick? Daredevil, the blind superhero. Like I said, crazy idea. Ironic that he is right. So the next day, we pick up with Matt at a court case, and Bullseye is there in civilian clothes, watching and observing. And he angles up to Nelson. He pats him on the back, congratulating him on the successful case. But really what he's done is he's put a tracer on him. Wires Slobotkin did a nice job with that bug I slapped on Nelson. I can hear every word he says. So Foggy goes for a taxi. There's Bullseye watching. Lots of use of screen tone for the Termacadam on this particular page. Looks really good. And so Foggy gets in the cab. Bullseye gets in a follow-off, or tries to get in a cab to follow the other one. And the driver isn't interested in taking his fare, so he says, get lost, I'm off duty. You hear me, Jack? That's O-double-F. And basically he pulls out his ace of spades and cuts the guy's throat. That's brutal. That's a brutal scene. So there he is in his taxi, following the other one in his yellow cab. And I like the narration here, first person narration. I don't care how many cop shows you've seen it on, you can't tell if someone is following you up 6th Avenue. Everybody goes north on 6th Avenue, so I mosey up right behind Nelson's cab and I listen. So Nelson's in with a lady cab driver and he is talking about that, but we turn the page and who's the lady cab driver except for Elektra? And that's a great little surprise and a great little twist in the storytelling. And she says to him very matter-of-factly, I've been hired to kill you, Mr. Nelson. But Bullseye's hearing all of this. It's her. It's got to be Elektra. And she tells Foggy, be silent, be calm. You'll feel no pain. But he is aghast and shocked. This can't be happening. It can't. So he begs for his life. And she's got her sai there ready to kill him. But then this twist of a moment. And also note the little silhouette there indicating that Bullseye's on the scene too. Yes, I do know you. I've seen you before in college. You were Matt's girl, Elektra. And she looks young there in that close-up on her face, that three-quarter profile close-up. It's really well rendered by Janson. And Foggy says, I don't understand any of this. What are you? And she makes up her mind, get out of here. Use of magenta is great in that panel as well. And then you can see, like, she is exhausted, probably with the whole moral weighing up of whether to kill Foggy or not, because she knew him too, in a sense. Not very well, but knew that he was Matt's best friend in college. And of course knows that he's Matt's partner in the law business. And, you know, what's interesting, another interesting choice here in this particular issue is we never get into Elektra's thinking. We don't have her first person narration. We only have what she says or does to judge what's going on with her in this particular issue. And this is a great panel here. This is like one of Wally Wood's advice, pieces of advice for a panel that always works, like a close-up on a hand or an object or something like this, and an L-shaped panel. You've got it all going on here. So Elektra there is framed by the gun, by Bullseye's gun. That close-up on him. He's silent, he's sneaking up on her, but she's got that ninja training and she's aware. You can see her eyes sliding. She's aware of him. He's got the gun pointed at her back. So we got to turn the page and see what happens next. Yeah, she moves. Another great DeLuca effect. I really think that at this point Miller had absolutely mastered that technique. Just the way that this is working, it is really, really dynamic, and you can feel that kick to the jaw that Bullseye takes from Elektra. And then we've got our expected horizontal panels for the fight scene. It's brutal. It is a powerful fight scene. Look at that kick right into the small of Bullseye's back. That could snap his spine, really. And he's feeling it. Criminy, the lady's good, he thinks. Slaughter said she's been trained as a ninja. She'll probably use the darkness, sneak up behind me. So he's no fool, and that's exactly what she's doing. So he's ready for her. Punches her in the face, grabs her by the hair. And it's interesting to see Miller thinking out about, well, you know, what would Bullseye do? And that is the kind of thing he'd do. Grab an opponent, a female opponent, by their hair and knee her in the chin like that. And then she catches him, strikes him across the cheek with the end of her sai. So he feels that she's getting the better of him here in this fight, it seems. And we've seen her do that before, where she takes off her head gear and uses it in order to catch an opponent in a fight. But Bullseye's just physically stronger, and he knocks her to the ground. And this is the end of the fight. It's been mostly silent, but now he speaks. Put up pretty good fight, Toots. You're pretty good. So he's out of breath. But he says there he's still got that ace of spades. But me, I'm magic. So he flicks it, and it catches her in the throat. That is a brutal panel. Just the way it's rendered. You almost feel that. And then she's down on the ground, bleeding out of her cut throat. And he picks up her own size. There, one of them anyway. And for my next trick, and look at the grin on his face. He's enjoying the whole thing. And this is a classic, an iconic panel of that blade going right through Elektra, just like she did on her victims in earlier issues. And of course, you know, other commentators have pointed out the phallic symbolism of what's going on here, and that look of joy on Bullseye's face. He's getting off on the murder. And she's bleeding out. This is a great sequence here, this tier of panels, where we've got moment-to-moment action as Elektra stumbles and falls and picks herself up. And Bullseye in the background is putting on a civilian disguise and following her, because he's got a strategy. So he follows her all the way up to this brownstone apartment. And whose is it except for Matt Murdock's? And he's there and he realizes what's happening, and we can see that look and expression on his face. and then he cradles her, and then we have the artistic choice here to show it from a distance in silhouette. So maybe the emotion is just too much. The crowd here is horrified. Bullseye's lighting a cigarette. And interesting also, of course, like the colouring here, it picks him out from the crowd as well, with the light from his cigarette lighter. Yeah, such a great second act. And that is the end of the second act. And now we're into the third act. So we have a visit to the morgue and the autopsy of Elektra, and that it was the knife, more than likely, that killed her. So she was lacerated in the throat, heart pierced by something metal. And Foggy's there. And I like the body language detail of the fact that he's got his hat off in front of the corpse. Like, Elektra, by her decision, saved his life. Matt here, wordless. We don't know what he's thinking. And somebody else is there. It's this guy. Hey, haven't I seen you around here before? I'm new. Got McCaffrey's old job. Then it happens. Murdoch jumps like a stuck pig just when he hears me speak, like he recognizes my voice. Suddenly, that crazy idea I got about you being him doesn't seem so crazy. So this guy here, McCaffrey quit, he won't be back. Too bad, nice guy. Of course, the implication is Bullseye's killed him. Matt, I think we should be going, Matt, says Foggy. Murdoch turns back to the stiff, tries to pretend he doesn't know I'm here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's just heard my voice on TV and he's scared of me like everybody else is. Maybe. No harm in finding out. And this is an amazing moment again, where he takes this scalpel and throws it. And of course, Bullseye never misses a target he aims for. Throws it at Murdoch, and just silently, Murdoch moves his blind man's cane to catch the scalpel before it hits him in the head. And then he's running. We have that down shot. Then I'm running out of there before you can track me, before you can make excuses to protect your precious secret identity. Got news for you, Matty boy. It's blown. That's amazing. So good. So there he is. He's paid a visit to the Kingpin with the news. He's got his feet up on the table. He's cock a hoop. And he says to Kingpin, now just suppose, he was faking his recovery. He's talking about the history on Matt Murdoch being blinded by the radioisotope when he was a boy. Suppose that radiation made him smell, taste, and hear better than anybody on Earth. Suppose. But the Kingpin isn't buying it. You can stop now, he says. But there's more, his father. That is the most preposterous story I've ever heard, and a pathetic ploy on your part to convince me to reinstate you as my chief assassin. Bring me Daredevil's body and we'll do business. And now we're properly into Act 3 and the climax of this story. This is a great establishing shot of the street outside of Matt Murdoch's brownstone apartment building. I love, again, the use of screen tone here, implying the darkness of the night. We've got Bullseye arriving into a top floor story of the, I think it's street level story of the apartment building, then making his way up the stairs to Matt's study or office. And Matt seems to be working at his desk there. Bullseye's got the gun on him, but then a red-gloved hand grabs his shoulder. No, it's not Murdoch. It can't be. I was so sure. And here we see that Matt has set up this tailor's dummy, and so maybe his secret identity is safe. So you aren't Matt Murdoch. Bullseye's bought it. I'll still get you, but I can't do it here. You probably know this place like the back of your hand. Come on, DD, follow me outside. Got a surprise for you. So now we've got the climactic fight between Bullseye and Daredevil. And the surprise is Elektra's sigh. So he picks them up from the roof where he's left them. And so he's using Daredevil's old lady's weapons against... No, he's saying here, I wish you were Matt Murdoch, because then I'd be using your old lady's weapons against your billy club. Another great DeLuca effect. Look at that. Daredevil isn't holding back. But we haven't gotten into his mind. We only have Bullseye's perspective and point of view and voice in this issue. So Daredevil knocks the pair of them over the side of the apartment building roof, and they crash through a skylight. Yeah, Daredevil's gotten caught by the Psy in the side. So really, the fighting here is crazy. Nobody's holding back. And the art is so interesting as well. We've got Bullseye mostly in silhouette, except for the details of his costume. And then they're out on an overhead train, rail track. Again, we've got the horizontal panels. We've got the noise of the train coming, the oncoming train there. It's so dynamic, it's amazing. Really, really great stuff. Daredevil catching Bullseye here in this particular panel, knocking them off the rail track up here, down to the street level. But he catches on to this wire, whatever it is, a telephone wire, whatever it might be. They're in silhouette here, no words. Daredevil bounces on the wire to knock Bullseye off, grabs him by the hand, and Bullseye's absolutely enraged here. No, he shouts, you won't save me. Not like before, kill you. I'll kill. And then this is a really, really important moment, because it reverses what happened in their last encounter, where Daredevil, was clear in his mind that he hated Bullseye, that he knew if he would save him, that it could potentially lead to other people dying in the future. But on this occasion, the second time around, Daredevil makes a different choice. You'll kill no one ever again. And he drops Bullseye. And look at the way he lands on the street. That looks like he's broken his back, for sure. Really great. And think about the layouts as well. We're moving from those horizontal layouts to vertical layouts, to those little square panels, 6 of them in a tier. Really, really inventive play with the storytelling. We've got our last few pages. We've got the close-up on Bullseye's eyes again that began the issue. Don't bet on it, he says to what Daredevil has said about him never killing again. By now, the Kingpin has been told about what happened. He's probably sure, just like everybody else is, that I'm out of action for good. Look at him burning the Bullseye file. Probably already started looking for a new hitman. He'll need one without me and without Elektra. Yeah, that's right. I almost forgot. Maybe I don't get you this time, Daredevil, but I got her, didn't I? I got her good. And a very interesting choice not to color this particular panel. It is, as far as I can see, a repeat exactly of this one, but without color. Like the color is being leached out. And we've got this snowy graveyard scene now, cemetery scene. I wish that hurt you. I wish she'd been yours, so that you'd spend long, lonely nights staring at the ceiling thinking about her. But you can't win them all. Meanwhile, there's your buddy Murdoch, who helped you beat me. How does he feel? Of course, the irony is running through what Bullseye's saying there. He was right, of course. And here's Matt at Elektra's grave. And again, as I said earlier, we don't get into his mind. We see him from the outside in the same way we only saw Elektra from the outside. These characters that we have, known so well in the previous year and a half's worth, or even 2 years worth of issues, we're just not getting that. We're just getting Bullseye's voice for the whole issue. And again, great techniques on this page with the color hold by Janson here, and the white media used to cut in details like Matt standing on this hill with the lone grave marker for Elektra there and there again, and then the snow cut in as well. It feels bitterly cold. Last page. So where is Bullseye? What has become of him? Well, there he is. He's in a hospital room on his own. You just got lucky. That's all I could have beat you. That's all I could have beat you. I almost did. Next time I'll... Oh, sure. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking there won't be a next time. You're wrong, Daredevil, dead wrong. Prison couldn't stop me, and neither can this prison you've made out of my body. So he's paralyzed. My spine is shattered. Can't feel my arms or legs. I can't even talk. But man, can I hate. I hate you more than ever, and that'll be enough. No matter how many months and years it takes, I'm going to put myself back together, and then I'll come for you again. Just wait. And that close-up on his eyes again. And the colour hold as well, indicating the room and the Venetian blinds as well, and the shadows going across Bullseye's pillow and his face. Such a great issue. Wonderful techniques. And also, this issue came out around the time of Wally Wood's death. Remember I mentioned that panel? That seemed to me to be like a tribute to Wally Wood. I wonder, was that a panel that Miller did when he got the news that Wally Wood had died? 1927 to 1981. Sad in the sense of an early death. He was a big drinker, so you could say it was an alcoholism related death. Also, we get the sales figures here for Daredevil. Daredevil was on the point of cancellation when Denny O'Neil made the decision to move Roger McKenzie on from the title and give it to Frank Miller as writer-artist. And that was a good choice, because now you've got a net press run in the previous 12 months of 276,000 issues. The nearest to filing date, 285,000 issues. So the numbers are going up and up. And it'll be next year's statement of ownership that really reveals how successful Miller's tenure as writer-artist was, because he pushed the title to being Marvel's second best-selling title, only after Uncanny X-Men, only after Claremont's X-Men. So I do hope that you enjoyed this review and commentary on this really iconic and stellar issue of Daredevil. I think it's the creative highlight of Frank Miller's original run on the character, bringing together storylines that he'd set in motion from his very first issue as writer-artist 168, all coming together here in just a really tour de force climax. This 3-act story, and such an interesting decision to write it all from the villain's point of view, Bullseye's point of view. Let me know what you think of this issue in the comments to the video. If you enjoyed my review and commentary, please like the video on YouTube. It really helps the channel. And if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more content like this.